Project Manager Skills. Skills of Project Manager. In this part of the lesson, we will be discussing and diving deeper into the skill set that capable project managers should possess. Other than providing leadership in planning, organizing, monitoring, and controlling the work process and efforts to attain the project's goal, as a project manager, you ought to have the skills and abilities that motivate your team to succeed and gain customers' confidence. These include strong leadership ability and the ability to develop people, excellent communication and interpersonal skills, the ability to handle stress, and skills that involve problem solving, negotiation, and time management. We will discuss each of these elements explicitly. The first skill set we will be focusing on is leadership ability. To be able to get things done through others, one of the skills an effective manager should possess is the ability to motivate team members to implement the plan and achieve the project intention successfully by working as a team. You need to create a vision for the team and make clear what are the expected benefits of this project, because when the members of your team can visualize what the results will be, they will be more inclined to work together and finish the project well. A participative and consultative leadership approach is preferred over a hierarchical, autocratic, and directive management style. This is done by providing guidance and coaching to the team, establishing parameters and guidelines for what needs to be done, then allowing the team members to decide how to execute it. Involving and empowering your team is another requirement for effective project management. People have the desire for autonomy and to demonstrate their competence. One way you can do so is to allow them the authority to make decisions regarding the tasks they are assigned to. This makes them accountable for performing their work scope within budget and on schedule. However, as the project manager, you need to establish clear guidelines and limits to avoid instances where the consequences of one member's decision spill over and impact other members and/or the entire team negatively. For instance, one team member might decide to delay ordering certain materials before a test result is confirmed. But by the time the other team members receive these materials, the project will not finish on time. Especially when contracts are signed, delays not only damage the company's reputation, but penalties often must be paid as well. In this case, you might want to gather all the relevant project members in a meeting to discuss this issue. To be a capable project manager with good leadership ability, you also need to be aware of what stimulates your project members. For individuals to be energized to excel, a supportive environment should be created where each member works as part of a high-performing team. Encourage participation and involvement of all team members. Show that you value the contributions of each project member and allow them to tap into the expertise and knowledge of one another. Be wary not to create situations or engage in behaviors that might decrease motivation of your project members. Unclear expectations, making individuals go through unnecessary procedures, unproductive team meetings, and underutilization of individuals are some of the things that are discouraging and should be avoided. Therefore, effective managers need to understand what motivates and demotivates individuals in order to create a supportive environment and avoid doing things that have the opposite effect. One way you can foster motivation is by giving credit where credit is due, be it the entire team or individual members. It can come in the form of monetary incentive, verbal encouragement, praise, or assigning someone a more responsible position on the project team. According to Skinner's theory of operant conditioning, positive reinforcement begets desired behavior. Showing appreciation, such as thanking the team for completing a project ahead of schedule or exhibiting genuine interest in each person's work, will motivate individuals to be more engaged in contributing to the project and encourage the team to try to repeat such behavior for future projects. However, recognition ought to be done as soon as possible after the contribution has been made. If not, team members might feel that you are not interested in the contribution made. Others should also be involved when the recognition is being made. You can praise the team member during a project meeting or in front of the customer or the project organization's upper management. Try to make it fun for the person as well, with some sort of novelty award or lunch treat perhaps. Setting the tone of the project team is one of the key leadership abilities a project manager should have. Form an environment of trust, high expectations, and enjoyment for your team members. For your team to trust you, you need to set an example by living up to your word and following through commitments you make. If not, you will lose credibility. As a project manager, you might tend to have high expectations of yourself and your team, so much so that you might be overly optimistic and frustrate your team by committing to an overly ambitious project. It is therefore crucial for you to balance your high expectations with reality. No one likes a project manager who is reckless, regardless if they are your subordinates, clients, or supervisors. As social creatures, most people working on projects dislike working in isolation because it is boring. Socialization is a prerequisite for a high-performing team, and project managers can facilitate this process by creating a sense of cohesiveness. To foster an enjoyable and sociable environment, you can conduct periodic social gatherings, organize events that include the members' families, place all the members in one office location if feasible, or having an open office environment. Related to the previous slide about recognition, celebrating successes, especially early in the project, can make the job fun by creating an avenue for socialization, informal chatter, and team building. Last but not least, to accomplish the project objective, a project manager can influence the team's behavior. Practice what you preach by being highly motivated and setting a positive example for the team. Adopt a can-do attitude, maintain a positive attitude, and exhibit confidence. Avoid behaviors such as whining or blaming. Make it clear that such behaviors are not tolerated within the team. The project manager leads by making things happen. Next, ability to develop people. Being committed to training and developing the people working on the project is an ability that effective project managers have. This benefits the organization and the individual in the long run. Use the project as an opportunity for the team members to value add, such that at the end of the project, each team member becomes more competent and knowledgeable than when they first started. It allows them to expand their technical know-hows and develop soft skills. Establish a learning environment by meeting everyone at the beginning and encourage them to take advantage of their project assignments to expand their skills and knowledge. To determine what activities or opportunities are needed, ask them what they have learned from working on their previous project and what they would like to learn on this current one. Communicate the value of self-improvement by encouraging them to participate in seminars or ask for new and/or challenging assignments. You can also provide opportunities for team members to learn and develop. Suppose you have an analyst on the team who has limited familiarity with the software Python. You can assign them a design task that requires them to learn more about coding. By stretching their capabilities and helping them accomplish more than what they think they can, you are not only helping them grow as an individual, but also making them more valuable to the organization on future projects. You can also identify and create situations where team members who are less experienced get to learn from those who are more experienced. In this case, you ought to inform the latter that mentoring is part of their job on the project. Another way you can provide chances for development is sending members to attend formal training sessions. Thereafter, let these attendees apply and share what they have learned to the job and the rest of the team. All of these send the message that you value and expect continuous self-development. Communication skills. As a project manager, you are required to be an excellent communicator. This means that you need to have regular and effective communication not only with your team, but with other stakeholders as well, such as subcontractors, customers, upper management. This is especially crucial early in the project to build a good working relationship with the team and set up clear expectations with all the relevant parties. Communication and sharing of information can be done using either verbal or written forms. You can conduct meetings and information conversations or write up reports. To do so, you need to have good verbal and written communication skills. Spend more time listening than talking because you learn more through the former. Great project managers listen to the expectations and needs of the customer. Then you and your team will be able to deliver something that meets expectations. Great project managers also support the ideas and concerns of the project team and stakeholders. And they do so by initiating, stimulating, and facilitating communication. When you introduce a topic to a team meeting, for example, you can solicit reactions and ideas first, instead of dominating the entire meeting. On top of that, you should also have ongoing communication with external parties, such as scheduling a weekly phone call with a customer to keep abreast of their level of satisfaction throughout the project. Effective communication leads to credibility and builds trust. Other than having frequent communication, it should also be timely and honest to the extent of upholding discretion with regards to confidential information. Share, but don't overshare. This is to prevent rumors from starting and to avoid misleading stakeholders. For example, a missing team member might lead to rumors about them being fired. Within the team, this affects the team's morale as it creates unnecessary stress and panic. Externally, clients and the upper management might think that the project is failing and intervene unwisely. But in fact, that member might have been temporarily assigned elsewhere to help other teams. Timely feedback to the team and customer are important as well. Be it good or bad, news should be shared promptly. Members need to have up-to-date information to be effective. When it comes to delivering bad news, together with supporting data and rationale, the project manager should provide recommendations and solutions to the customer or sponsor. Team members should feel psychologically safe to voice out differing viewpoints without any fear of punishment. To create an atmosphere that encourages timely and open communication, team members should feel that they can admit to having difficulties completing a task to the project manager without being penalized. Going back to the leadership skill of creating a supportive environment and motivating members to work as a team, when members feel safe to ask for help and admit their mistakes efficiently, issues can be rectified before further damage is done. Hence, a psychologically safe climate might be a key factor deciding the project's success. Interpersonal skills. These skills are essential and they depend on excellent communication skills. Establish clear expectations of the project's team members by involving the team when developing the project plan. This allows members to know the importance of their own roles and get them aware of who are assigned to what tasks and how they fit together and influence each other in the team. Of course, the project manager should emphasize that everyone's contribution is valuable and no one is more important than the other member. To have demonstrated interpersonal skills, you first must develop and maintain a good relationship with each member in the team. Initiate conversations whenever the occasion arises, such as over lunch or when you meet them outside of work. These conversations allow you to get to know your team member at a deeper level, what motivates them, what concerns they might have, and so on. Armed with this information, you can then know how to develop them, guide them, and influence them to perform on the job while keeping them satisfied with their work. To influence or persuade others, be it in the team members, customers, or subcontractors, you cannot deal with it in a heavy-handed manner. Therefore, good interpersonal skills come into play. One way to start up a conversation is to try and learn about their personal interests without being intrusive or use open-ended questions and do a lot of listening. Rather than simply greeting each other, try to engage them in a conversation even if it is brief. Show genuine interest and provide feedback and encouraging comments to get the conversation flowing. Perhaps you can start by mentioning your own family or hobbies, and when the team member offers theirs, say things like, "That's interesting, tell me more about it." Project managers can empathize with good interpersonal skills, specifically during special circumstances, such as when a project member feels discouraged when they couldn't debug a software, or even when they are facing personal problems. Your encouragement and support must be genuine, and when they share any private or personal information, you must use good judgment and make sure those stay confidential. Lastly, good interpersonal skills help a project manager to deal with discord. When disagreements arise, you will need to ensure that at the end of mediation, no one's face is lost and their relationships did not deteriorate, all of which require delicate handling on your part. Of course, you also need to ensure that the project work is not affected. This further demonstrates the importance of good interpersonal skills. If you are aware of individual concerns and personality, information you might have gathered through conversations you have been initiating with them will allow you to better resolve the situation. The next skill of a capable project manager is the ability to handle stress. There are many activities that happen concurrently in a project, and unexpected events are bound to arise. Conflicts will also occur, and all these will produce stress. As a project manager, you need to remain composed and cope with the constant changes. Your team members look to you for guidance, and external stakeholders look to your behavior as a signal of how well the project is going. Sometimes you must act as a buffer between them. Often, the customer or the upper management would be discontented with the progress of the project. You need to relay this to your team in a way that will spur them to meet the challenge. To do that, you need to be able to take criticisms and not become discouraged. Sometimes you must also protect your team from external interferences that might distract or cause unnecessary stress and in turn hinder their performance. Having a good sense of humor is a requirement for a capable project manager. Used appropriately, it can help you to handle the stress and break the tension. Of course, your humor must be in a good taste. At the same time, you need to make clear that inappropriate humor is unacceptable in the team as well. Taking care of your physical health can improve your ability to handle stress. Organizing stress relieving activities for you and your team is also a great way to not only distress but also a great opportunity to socialize. Another vital skill that a project manager requires, that is problem-solving skills. A good problem solver can identify actual or potential problems early on. This allows you time to develop a well thought out solution, decrease cost, and has less impact on the other parts of the problem. In order to be able to identify these problems, it requires open and timely communication, timely and accurate data-driven information system, and some gut feelings which are based on experience. You will not be able to identify every problem that might occur. This is when your team members play a part. Encourage them not only to identify problems early, but also resolve the issues on their own if they can, instead of depending on you. That does not mean that they should keep quiet about it. Team members should notify you about the situation regardless, because they might not see the big picture and realize that other team members could also be affected. When a problem has been raised, ask for suggestions instead of providing your ideas first. You might stifle or limit responses and creativity by offering solutions before hearing others out. When others disagree with you, do not get defensive. You need to recognize that differing viewpoints and opinions often leads to the best solution. Your team can also be a good sounding board to check for feasibility, who are the appropriate people to approach and understand the problem at a deeper level, thus preventing other mistakes being made. To develop the optimal solution, a project manager needs to use analytical skills to assess the information and see the big picture. After developing the solution, you then delegate the implementation to appropriate members in the team. Negotiating skills. You will encounter many negotiating occasions throughout the project cycle. Thus, having good negotiating skills are essential for project managers. It could be regarding contract agreements, gathering for resources for your team, or even requesting for extension of deadline. In a negotiation, the goal is to arrive at a mutually acceptable agreement. Do not go into a negotiation using distributive bargaining and thinking that what both parties want are mutually exclusive. Effective negotiations should result in a win-win outcome for both parties, not a win-lose outcome. Be flexible and willing to compromise. Be patient and not feel the pressure to respond immediately and make knee-jerk reactions. You need to know when to ask for time out to give yourself time to think. You should also be proactive in offering kind gestures to encourage the other party to make concessions using tactics such as saying, "Yes, I can do that if you could." If some items are at an impasse, set those aside, move on to other less contentious items so that the progress can be made. This also allows momentum to build so that you can address the more difficult issues. Both parties should feel heard and understood, and this requires good listening skills. It would also be helpful if a trusting relationship has already been developed, which is related to having good interpersonal skills. With globalization, taking cultural differences into consideration is also crucial when negotiating. Different cultures have different approaches when it comes to negotiation. It is also key that you set a good example by maintaining integrity and respect for the party you are negotiating with through the bargaining. It is imperative that everyone saves face and no one feels resentful. Bear in mind that in order to have opportunities to continue doing business with the other party, maintaining a good relationship is critical. Therefore, effective negotiations should not erode relationships. In fact, it should strengthen them. Time management skills. Projects usually involve numerous activities happening concurrently, and unexpected events are bound to arise. This takes up a lot of energy. Therefore, project managers need to manage their time well. In order to do so, you should be self-disciplined and have the ability to prioritize. To make optimal use of the time available, this is where the leadership skill of involving and empowering team members come in. It is impossible for you to do everything by yourself. Hence, you need to demonstrate a willingness to delegate and let your team members help you so that you can focus on tasks that only you can accomplish. As the title suggests, a project manager's key role is to manage the project. In order to do so, you need to take care of yourself, your team, and other stakeholders of the project. This requires a variety of skills ranging from leadership ability to time management skills. And we have discussed in depth of what each of those skills entail.